Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Language of Leadership. I'm your host, Chuck Marting. This week, what I wanted to go and do is I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately. I've had some questions on it, and so that has me thinking of how I react in that situation and what I have taught other leaders on how to do things in a certain way, and that is in following your instinct. And I think that is a topic that is very crucial in today's society with all the different things that we do. I have found with young leaders that a lot of times they lack the confidence and the experience to be able to react in a certain way or to go ahead and move forward with something because they're not quite sure and they don't feel comfortable. And I think the biggest thing is they don't want to be wrong. Understand that part of leadership is that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make decisions that probably wouldn't have been the best decision if you were a seasoned leader or one that had more experience. And I can guarantee you that leaders that have been leaders for a long time, successful leaders, will tell you when they look back at things that they've done during their career and as a leader, they most definitely would do things differently under certain circumstances. So, one of the biggest things to understand is that at times as leaders, we're going to lack that necessary information because of the experience that we haven't had to do that before. And it's being able to understand things. Now, the best scenario that I can give you is going with your instinct or for lack of better terms, going with your gut. Okay. You hear that from people quite a bit. My gut was telling me this, or I just felt something. Well, those are valid feelings for the situation that you're in. It's your instincts that are telling you that something just isn't right. I remember a time when I was working on a graveyard shift and police go and we check businesses, you check parking lots, you're looking to try and intervene in criminal activity and try and prevent it from happening. And I remember one night when one of our patrol officers was going through a lot and he saw a car parked, only car in the parking lot. And it was obvious because of the way the car was backed into the parking lot that somebody was in the vehicle sleeping. And so at first, this officer, when he saw this car backed in like that, felt, you know what, no harm, no foul. They're not hurting anybody. Everything looks good. The building looks good. Everything is fine. Okay. Then, as he left, his instinct told him, go back and check this out. And so he did. He went back and he called for some more officers to come with him because he didn't know what the situation would be once he made contact with the people inside the car. And it was a good thing that he did because as they did, they found out that this individual that was inside that vehicle, that was sleeping in that vehicle, was wanted for an investigation of a homicide. Had this officer not followed through with his instinct or that gut instinct that was telling him that just something just wasn't right, this individual may have gotten away. But because he took the initiative and he also took the initiative of maybe being wrong. And I think that's the biggest thing that I find, especially with new leaders, is they nobody wants to be wrong, especially when you're in this position of being a leader. You're supposed to lead. You're supposed to have knowledge and understanding, and you're supposed to be able to share that with your team to help them grow and to be able to do things and to do it the correct way. And I find that a lot with our policies and procedures that we follow within a company, that sometimes we as leaders are asked about clarification on certain things. And we as a leader don't know the answer to that. So instead of using this as a teaching moment, with the individual team member and say, you know what, that's a good question. Let's go get the general orders on that, or whatever the case may be within your workplace and what you call that. Let's go over that. Let's go see if we can find the answer to your question. Instead of handling it that way, they're embarrassed that they don't know the answer. So instead of giving the correct answer or trying to find out what that answer would be, they blow it off with that individual and say, you know what, I'll find out and I'll let you know about it. Well, you're not taking that leadership position at this point of showing that team member empathy, understanding, and wanting to have clarification. You're wanting to help them and answer their question. Now, it may be that you go and you look through your general orders and you're not able to find anything that addresses that specific question. Well, that's great too, because now you still have something that the two of you can find out. And you're not pretending not to know. You're showing that individual that you care about what they're saying, you value what they're saying, and that you're wanting to get this answered for them. And so, even if you can't find the answer right then and there, like going with the individual and looking for it, the respect that you're going to have from them as their leader for validating what it is they came to you with is huge. Okay. It's a different type of reaction than what you would get if you just told them, you know what, I don't know. I'll find out for you. And I'll get back with you. That nonchalant attitude can harm you as a leader. It takes away from your leadership, showing that you really don't know or you really don't care, and you're blowing that individual off, not thinking that it's important. And that may not be the case, or it may not even be the way that you want it to come across to that individual, but that's how they're reading that situation in the way that you're handling it. And I've seen, like I said, a lot of times within businesses, especially with new leaders, a lot of times, let's face it, and some of you may be even shaking your head when I say this in agreement, that these individuals as leaders were great employees. These were people that they could count on. They were able to follow through with tasks. You gave them something to do and they did it. They needed very little involvement from their leaders. And because they weren't a headache, they were somebody that was dependable, somebody they knew that if they gave that assignment to, they were going to get it done. Sometimes we look at that as this person would be a really great leader. And so that what we do, we go ahead and give them that opportunity to be a leader, but then we don't give them any more training because we feel based on past experience or performance that this individual is going to be able to figure it out and they'll be able to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. Sometimes that works. Sometimes you have individuals that are able to adjust and adapt and be able to handle the situation in the appropriate way. And then there's other times where you're overwhelming a leader because you're not giving them the tools to be successful. You're not giving them the resources to be able to guide and direct their team in a way that would be expected from a leader. So, what I suggest is one, if you don't know your policies, if you don't know your procedures, if you don't know where they're at, that's your first task. You need to know where those are at. You need to be familiar with them and be able to access these things should somebody from your team come to you with those questions. And like I said, I don't think any business leader or business owner is going to expect a leader to memorize and know a manual from cover to cover, from page to page. That's unrealistic for you to be able to memorize something like that, that is something that you don't need to do. It's kind of like one of my leaders explained to me when I came to him with something that gave me a lot of respect for this individual and knew that I was going to this individual for the right reasons. When I asked a question and he looked at me and he said, Chuck, he says, I don't know the answer, but we're going to find out. And I have the resources to go and do that. So let's go look for it. That's all he needed to tell me. I didn't think any less of him because he didn't know the answer right then and there. And I think that's what we see with a lot of us that have not had that experience as a leader. We're embarrassed that we don't know the answer. Okay. We are not sure where to find that answer. And so instead of being honest with that individual that's come to us with that, we pretend to act as though, I will find out as your leader for you and I will get back to you. It's a little demeaning and it takes away from your authority or your abilities as a leader. So I would suggest not doing that. I would suggest handling it in a situation kind of like what we just explained and went through. Um, but the first step for any of this as a leader is you need to look for physical signs with these individuals that you are a leader with. That's where that instinct comes in. Watch people, look how they respond to things, read their body language. You're going to be able to observe somebody and figure out if they're still with you, if they're lost, if they're not understanding what you're telling them. That instinct that you're going to get is going to help you, but you've got to pay attention to that individual. And a lot of times, what we forget is that we see these individuals within our workplaces that are on our team more than their own families do. We spend more time with them on a daily basis than their own families do. So we get to the point where we really understand what is expected behavior from certain people on our teams because we've seen it. We recognize when something's wrong. I know with my team, when I'm around them on a daily basis, like we are, that I can pick up on things sometimes that, when you come up to somebody, you go, what's going on? Are you okay? And showing that empathy for them and recognizing that there's something there. And a lot of times that gut instinct that you get is right. And it's giving you that opportunity to resolve whatever that situation is right there in the moment. And it makes it so that these individuals that are on your team see that not only are a leader, but you have empathy, compassion, and you want them to be okay. And a lot of times that's all these team members are wanting is that recognition from their leader that they exist, that they care, and that it's just not a deal where they come into work and they just come in, punch in, do your job, go home. That's it. Well, those are things that we can't do. And it's things that are going to cause issues within our leadership that are going to create these issues later on, whether it's in that moment or in other things that we try to do and accomplish with them. But when I'm talking about your instincts and things to look for, okay, these are things that I look for when I've been in these positions with my team. It's also things that I would watch when I would talk to people when I was in law enforcement. And some of the things, signals such as profuse sweating, sweaty hands or palms. Okay, that's showing nervousness, people not being sure of themselves, things like that. Rapid eye blinking or a rapid eye movement as you're talking to somebody. When you're doing this and you see individuals do that, it's because they're trying to figure out the answer that they need to give you. Okay. They haven't, they're not going to tell you straight out what it is that you're asking because they know that that's probably not going to be the right answer. So they're trying to search for the answer they think that you want to hear. Okay. So watch for that. And the best thing that you can do in those type of situations, slow things down. Repeat back to the individual what they said to you. It causes their mind to have to slow down. They have to think about what it is that you just said to them, that they said, and now they have to come up with a reason or an answer for you for that question that you're asking back to them. Plus, it shows you as a leader are listening to what they're saying and you're repeating it back to them to ensure that you're understanding them correctly. Leaders, welcome to the Alliance Mastermind Group, your exclusive gateway to leadership excellence inspired by the visionary Napoleon Hill. In this mastermind, we believe leadership is about more than just titles. It's about realizing your dreams. So I want you to picture a close-knit community of leaders, each dedicated to helping you turn your visions into reality. You know, throughout history, mastermind groups have been the cornerstone of leadership success. Now it's your chance to become part of this legacy. The Alliance Mastermind Group is not just about support. It's about actively working together to ensure your leadership journey is extraordinary. Our comprehensive approach includes cutting-edge training sessions tailored to amplify your leadership skills. This is more than just a group. It's like having your own executive board invested in your progress and your success. Imagine having a team where each member is genuinely invested in seeing you achieve your goals. Are you ready to transform your leadership journey? Apply now using the link in the description of this video and secure your place among the chosen 10. The Alliance Mastermind Group, where leadership dreams are nurtured. Take the first step towards the future where your visions become reality. Your journey starts now. The next thing is to watch their breathing. Okay. You see somebody that takes small gasps of air, or they start coughing. That's a nervousness type of reaction to things. And so that individual is trying, and they're searching for an answer, and they feel cornered. They feel uncomfortable. They may start panicking, things like that. Same thing as the last question that I told you with the rapid eye blinking. Slow things down. Ensure them that they're safe, that they're okay, that you're there trying to help them. Okay. And then continue on and slow things down. Let them find the answers. Don't answer for them, because we don't want to give them our words. I need to hear from that individual what it is that they are feeling, what they are hearing, what they are experiencing, so then I can react as a leader to help them. So the hardest thing to do for us as leaders is just to shut our mouth. Okay. Keep your mouth closed and use your ears. Listen more than what you're speaking or talking to somebody. All right. Pay attention to those reactions. Those of you that have children, you'll understand that. You can tell when your kids are nervous when you're talking to them, when something has happened or they've done something that they're not supposed to do. Guess what? Those traits carry on with us as adults. Now you're seeing those same traits that you would see with a nervous child with an adult, right? So we've already had these experiences before, but now we have to react to them, and we have to address them as we see them. The next thing is feeling that your surroundings have faded in importance, or you notice one item out of place, or you start seeing things nervously that they're doing, moving things like that. Those are all distractions that somebody's trying to do to get off of what you're talking to them about and move on to something else. Have them stop. Ask them to stop. Have them sit down. Do what you need to do to get them to stop that nervousness of trying to move things around. Sometimes we see it as maybe that person has ADHD, and so that's why they're acting that way. Slow them down. Okay, now if they legitimately do have ADHD and stuff like that, then that's a whole different issue. All right. But if this is somebody that you know doesn't exhibit those type of things, and now all of a sudden they're doing it, it's because of confrontation. None of us want to be confronted about anything. None of us want to be told that we're wrong or we're doing things wrong. Okay. It's the same thing. Okay. The same way as we deal with our children, as we deal with family members, now you're having to deal with it with an individual that you work with. A lot of times it can be left brain and right brain thinking and trying to understand things. You're looking at it from an analytical standpoint. So some people, it does turn into a whole process with them, and trying to explain and to be able to ensure that you do understand what they're saying. So like we've talked about before with listening skills, it's really important just to sit back, take your time. Don't answer the questions for them. Don't give them the answers. Let them come to it. And sometimes it's a struggle, man, because you just want to help them because they're struggling with that. But let it be their words, their choices. Don't give them words because sometimes when we do that, they're going to grasp onto that word and they'll run with it because you just gave them something and they can build on that. Okay. We're not getting the real reason or the real answer to what it is that we're looking for. So make sure that you're coming about with those. But those are the top four things that I look at when I'm looking at people. I'm always looking at their eyes. I'm always looking to what are they looking at as they're answering my question. Okay. Is it because they're searching for an answer, or is it because they really don't know and now out of desperation they're trying to find that answer? And those of you that are on here on this podcast today, you've seen that before and you can identify and understand that. So understand that that is just something that we as leaders need to recognize. Sometimes our gut's going to tell us that something's not right. And sometimes you're going to have individuals that are just not going to go there with you. They are not going to give you that opportunity. Whether it's trust that they don't have with you, they haven't built that relationship with you yet. Um, you're going to be in those situations. And the best way of handling that is in a way that you need to come up with prior to that experience happening. So, what I mean by that is in this situation, if this were to happen, how would I react? If you have an employee that you ask to do something and they look at you and they tell you, "No, I'm not doing it." Okay, what are you going to do as a leader now? Are you going to explain to them what could happen should they continue to choose not to follow your directions? Okay. What is that going to look like? All right. Or are you going to allow that to happen and assign them to something else? How are you going to best handle that type of situation? Okay. Play these scenarios out in your head all the time. I just recently came from a employer's workplace that I had gone to go and do some drug testing at. And when I walked in, the leader that was in this facility that I've talked to quite a bit was just in tears. You could tell she was very upset. She was panicked. Um, and you could tell that she was looking for somebody to help her. And so all I did was I looked at her and I said, "What's going on? Can I help you in any way? Because you really look like you need some help right now. You're looking like like you're panicked or something." And of course, then she stopped her crying and she was able to explain to me that she had two employees that were supposed to be there. One of them that I was supposed to be drug testing, but they both called out sick. And it would be okay if it was just one employee, but the second employee called out sick 5 minutes before they were supposed to start. And she was supposed to be doing something else at a different location that she was not going to be able to do now. And so she was freaking out as to what it is that she's doing. She was in panic mode at that point. And so just spending 5 minutes with her, helping her slow down and ask her some questions and help her recenter and refocus and calm down, she was able to figure out just our short conversation what steps she needed to take next. And she thanked me for that at the end. And why? Because nobody has ever done that with her before, or nobody has shown that they care about her to help her in doing this. Or is it just, you're a leader, deal with it? How many times have you heard that? I've heard that a few times. Okay. That doesn't get anything solved or resolved. All right. It ends up causing people to become more panicked because now they feel like, well, I should know the answer, or they think that I should know the answer and I don't. All right. So a lot of this is, and what I'm going to tell you is when it comes to this, go with your gut. Don't be afraid to say what it is that you're thinking and that you're feeling. Now, do it in an appropriate manner. I mean, you don't want to look at somebody and say, you know what, you're full of crap. Okay. Because it might not go too well if you address it that way with somebody. So when you look at them, you could ask them questions like saying, what else? Okay. Now, what did you just do by doing that? You're going to have them go more into the explanation of what it is that they're doing. And I've asked people several times when I've done that, what else? What else? But I listened to the whole conversation until the end and asked them what else. And by just doing that, by asking that one question, we were able to resolve what it is what that was actually happening. Because you end up getting to that final thing because they have nothing else that they can tell you. So eventually they tell you what the real problem is. And now we can address it. Now we can deal with it. And now I can help you because I know what direction I need to go in to give you the support and the help that you need. So I hope that helps you as far as dealing with that and it makes sense to you. But think of other things that you can say to somebody, open ended questions that's going to help them work through those or resolve those issues. But if we don't follow our guts, if you don't know that something just isn't right, but we don't want to address it, whether it's because we don't want conflict or we don't want to cause any issues, look, sometimes that is something that we have to do as a leader. You have to understand what the reason is or what is holding this person back. And you need to address it so that you guys can work as a team and move on. And it's going to build your relationship with that person. And I can guarantee you that if you do this and you do it the right way and you have some resolution, the next time something happens with this same individual, they are going to come to you and they're going to be a lot more honest with you from the get go. Not because they don't trust you, but now you've shown them that you can resolve these issues and that you can do that with them effectively. And so now that that relationship of trust is coming and they're going to be more apt to give that to you a lot sooner than they were before. And it's going to help you guys as a team. It's going to help build that relationship and it's going to help you as a leader being able to focus and understand what's going on with your team. So, with that in mind, I hope this episode has helped you in learning how to address things that instinctively you as a leader are recognizing as not quite being what they should be. We all come across it. We all have to deal with it. And it's in how we handle that situation. You as a leader do not have to have the answers for everything, but you should have the resources to be able to go to get those answers and to be honest with your team and telling them if you don't have those answers. So I hope this has helped. I hope this is an episode that you feel that you can share with other people. And I look forward to sharing with you another topic in the language of leadership and helping you with your leadership journey, being able to build your team and to have success as a leader. So until next week, when we talk about another episode or another issue that we as leaders need to address, take care, be safe. Thanks.